Test, 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 test. All right, that's good. Test, test. All right.
Or 7 or 10 or 15 or 16.
I guess it's similar. Yeah. I don't know. I think when I was younger too, it's different now because there's nobody pushing me but myself.
Yep.
But when I was young, or younger, there was, my professors and my parents. But now it's like I know that if I don't push myself, nobody's really going to push me. But I realize I push myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So
how do
it's-
you how do you know when? Oh God, I'm bleeding.
Oh God.
How do you know when you've pushed yourself enough?
I don't know when I push myself enough or too much. I just remember waking up for the past like at least half a year or more where I'm just like every day it's like I wake up, all right, eat, get ready, stream, go. Like that's literally like I don't think I really have a lot of like just spare time to do whatever. I just know that I wake up and I should work. Like that's me.
Yeah. So there's also. Are you familiar with Chinese medicine or Ayurveda?
Uh, Chinese medicine in like what sense?
Like, are you familiar with like any of the principles of Chinese medicine, TCM?
Oh no.
Okay. So I think the other interesting thing is that, so Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, Ayurveda is traditional Indian medicine, and there's a lot of cross pollination in terms of concepts. Like they kind of end up coming up with different terms, but the ideas are pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
Another just kind of side thing, you can check out like some of our YouTube stuff on this, but some of that work ethic that you talk about, you're very guffa. So like this is like an element. Like so in Eastern systems of medicine, what they do is they use elements to describe people's like personality, temperament, and things like that. So guffas are people who have a lot of like earth element and water element, so they tend to be very, very resilient, very, very hardworking, have large stamina pools. The tricky thing that they get into is that because they have because they're so resilient, they tend to tolerate negative situations far longer than they otherwise would. Right? So like people who have like smaller HP pools will like sit in burning lava for a very small amount of time. Whereas like people with large HP pools are like, oh, I'm taking a bunch of damage every round, but I've got like 1,000 hit points, so it's like not that big of a deal. I'm just gonna hang out here. And so, it's something that people on our stream sometimes we talk about, but I think it's like kind of interesting because I would imagine that follow through and perseverance are not problems for you.
Yes. I think that's like those tests that go like, oh, describe your personality in like 5 words. I think I've used perseverance like a lot.
Yep. Yeah. So that's classic Guffa, right? So a couple things, Wendy, for you to. So sometimes it takes longer for me to feel like I understand like where stuff is coming from someone. I think you were just so authentic and open that it like really came together quick. So I'm talking about a couple other random things now, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So the first thing is that you've got to be careful about a couple of things. One is that feeling of not good enough. So in terms of how hard do you push yourself? I would say that you probably push yourself to the point of like a decent amount of feeling not good enough.
Yeah.
And I know it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You think that the more you push yourself, the more good about yourself you feel. But for you, it's the other way around. And because like you know that in order to do a good job, you have to feel not good enough. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's kind of weird, okay?
Yeah.
But like this is where like when you decide to stop pushing yourself is based on these weird internal feelings. Like when is streaming enough? It has nothing to do with numbers and metrics and this is how much I need to. It has to do with an internal feeling of, okay, I'm fucking exhausted, which means I probably did a decent job today. Like I need to keep pushing myself until like I really get into a place where like, okay, I don't feel like I'm good enough. I'm really like pushing myself. You're like cracking the whip, and then you're like, okay, oh, whew. You know, I'm finally like cracking the whip really, really hard and flagellating myself. So like as long as I'm beating myself up this much, like I'm probably gonna work good enough and it'll end up okay. So I encourage you to just sort of play around with that, see if that's true or not. Couple things to think about is sometimes these dynamics can pop up in like romantic relationships. So, you know, if you start to feel like you're not good enough in romantic relationships or things like that, like you have to be careful because like you said, you know, you didn't realize it, you know, went back to your piano days because your piano days are behind you. You just carry them with you. Absolutely. And for guffas too, you have to be careful because a lot of times the relationship problems that guffas fall into is that they end up in unhealthy relationships for far too long. And especially like there's a particular vulnerability here where like you could feel like you're not good enough when actually you're doing fine. And the person you're dating is probably should be better, but you're so used to like not being good enough that maybe some of that stuff can start to like pop up again.
I think that was very like apparent to me in the past. Yeah, like in past relationships that I had, definitely. And I guess
Good.
it doesn't help that like every guy that I've dated cheated on me, so it doesn't help that not good enough thing. But yeah, it was very apparent. Like I was in a lot of relationships that I stayed for too long.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy to hear you say was, and I think this is kind of weird, but like every time your dad tells you he's proud of you, that is going to shrink.
Mm.
And as you become more confident in yourself, like there may be an echo of this, but you know, like every time that happens, like literally, you're, like talk to your dad on your day off and tell him you don't feel good enough, and he's going to tell you that he's proud of you, you're wonderful, he loves you, you deserve to rest. He's going to say all that stuff to you, and then like your next relationship is going to be healthier. Yeah. Questions? Thoughts?
Not at the moment. I'm just thinking about how to have a conversation with my dad. It's just it's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
But,
What,
yeah, I think it'll be good.
Penny, for your thoughts there? Like what are you thinking about how to have a conversation with your dad?
Like, just like I guess how to tell him. Yeah, because I think like a part of me also like I don't want to worry him, but I realize like I do have to tell him these things.
So I'm gonna try to help you out there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to worry him. He's already worried.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So this is what I want you to reframe. You need to give him the opportunity of comforting his worried daughter. You need to give him the, oh sorry, like his, you know, the daughter he's worrying about. You need to give him the opportunity to like make it better. That's what you really owe him.
Yeah.
When he sees you streaming for 24 hours and he's like, you should rest, like he's worried about you. It's already happening. That cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Do you need help? I mean, are you confident that you can come up with like language for like talking to him?
know. It's gonna be a little weird because I grew up speaking like Cantonese to my parents, but then with my dad, he's like more fluent in English, so I end up speaking like this weird like mixture of stuff with him. But he kind of understands like my moon runes when I like mix both languages together at random parts of the sentence. So I'm just wondering, like in my mind, like how I'm gonna piece together, like if I'm gonna say it in like Cantonese or I'm gonna say it in a little bit of English or like how it's gonna work out. But
Yeah.
I think it'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like he listens to you now.
Yeah. I mean, I think like both my parents, listen to me, but it's just I think I've always bonded with my dad a little bit more. I mean, I love both of them a lot, and I think in recent years I've come to talk to my mom a lot more. It's because my mom did a lot more of the yelling, and my dad did less of it. Yeah, he was always more like chill and quiet. So I guess I always like. I also played a lot more games with my dad growing up too. I didn't ever play any games with my mom.
What kind of games?
Oh, we played like I don't know, like Tetris and like chess and board games and stuff together. And we would watch TV shows together, like kids' TV shows, like Arthur, Magic School Bus and stuff together. Like my dad loved Pingu. It's just one of those. Pingu is like this penguin. It's a stop motion penguin animation that was like really popular in my childhood.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think dads have special relationships with their daughters. I'm sure they have special relationships with their sons too. But I have two daughters, and so I.
What have you been building?
Different. I'm different with them
I'm
than my
making,
wife is.
fermentation.
Ooh.
I want to
Yeah,
make
I'm
it
kind of at a loss as to
deep
what to
power.
talk about now.
Noticed that you actually named the world Alfheim.
Yeah, for me it was just mostly trying to find out like I guess why I felt so bad when I took my days off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is I guess it might be related is just constantly chasing for more. But that might just relate to not feeling like it's not enough. So they kind of come hand in hand, I think.
Yeah, so-
and that
Are you joining?
and that might be in terms of like numbers.
I'm
of,
connecting,
people
yeah.
Streaming or like anything.
I think
Yeah,
I'm not
so
gonna
I
play
think
for
that
too long. I
is actually
kinda
a
have
little
some
bit
other
more
work to do.
complicated, so I think certainly they're related, but I think a lot of that has to do with just being a streamer in general.
Yeah.
And just there's like there's a
What?
effect of
Disconnected? What do you
platforms
mean?
on our psychology. And some of that of like always needing to grow and sort of this sentiment of like if I'm not growing,
I was
I'm
disconnected
dying.
from your world, even though I'm not even in
Where
yet.
you can't take a break because like it's like steady content
Yeah, I
and
think
like
I
this
need
is
to-
like it's not.
No,
So
I got it.
do
Funky, holy shit.
fundamentally unsatisfied.
Uh,
like weren't able to
I'll
display
be
pride
right
or
back, I
satisfaction
suppose.
with their
Check your
kids.
thing first. The
Yeah.
And just it never crossed my mind until now that like I wonder if that's actually part
Oh,
of
yeah, I
what
guess
makes
that's a
you
good
guys
point.
successful, because you guys do
Wait, what the hell is this?
like that feeling of not being good enough like pushes
Drives you.
What?
Yeah, it'd be an interesting sort of like personality
What
analysis
is-
like study, but I think some of that stuff is just it's just how
This.
what social media and stuff like that does to us. So it's like, I mean, if you want to, hear me,
Where are you?
Professor Andy, I can like. Talk
What is this
more
world?
about, like go into a quick explanation of how.
This
that
is so
works.
creep-
But my experience is.
Am I in your
basically
world?
We
Yes.
have like personal psychological stuff that then meets the.
Why am
influence
I
of the
not
internet.
seeing anything? I'm not
And
seeing
then
you.
the
I'm not
influence-
seeing.
like, we've always had the psychological.
I have no
stuff.
idea where I am
We
in the
have
world.
internet, which sort of like amplifies
restart
or
the
even
server
like
then.
preys on some of our vulnerabilities
into
that like
the-
everyone has always had. And then we end up with something that
We
we
got to
haven't
the
ended up
spooky
with,
dimension.
which is like the psychological stuff. Like everyone's had. I mean, Asian parents. have
wait,
existed
is that
since the
common?
dawn of time.
Yeah.
And then you take Asian parents, and then you throw in Twitch. And
I was
then,
like in some
you're actually
really big
rare,
meadows.
Because I don't
I
know.
think
And it's weird because
I think it's
Usually,
You know,
it's
last
like
time-
through therapy
Because I
and a lot
activated
of
my
effort
VPN,
on the
yeah.
kids' parts to like get their parents to tell them.
You were activating your VPN as you're
I don't know,
playing.
like your dad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. Man, my parents evolved.
Yeah.
How many times do I have to say that when you do
But
that,
like they
get
literally.
disconnected?
But I don't know. I guess my parents are like, or my. Yeah, my dad is like
Hmm.
especially woke. It's really
I've
weird.
told you at
because
least
he
3
tells
times
me all
already.
these things that he thinks about, and then he kind of like
Alright, you can join now.
realize, and then he'll tell me these things sometimes.
Give me a
and I'll be
second,
like,
I'll bring my swamp key.
it's weird hearing it from him because because it's just like this is very against like traditional
I'm still
Asian
sort of
culture,
miffed that this
you
game
know?
doesn't have a
And so I always
pause.
call my parents like hippies because like they're so much more
Pause?
like relaxed
Yeah,
or more like
you can pause in this
understanding
game.
than a lot of parents that I've
Why did you
seen
need to
or like
pause
have
in a
heard
multiplayer
about.
game?
And so every time I just think about my dad,
Even
it's like,
in
what the heck is
single
going
player,
on,
you cannot
know?
pause.
Yeah.
But it's really good to
Like,
see.
what if I just want to take a
And
piss
it's
or
really
something?
nice.
Well, I'll have to log out, I guess.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I think you know there is a Asian dad Pokemon. He starts out
Yeah.
as security guard form and then goes into convenience store owner form, and then winds up as woke Asian dad in touch with his feelings,
Woke Asian dad.
which is the Charizard of Asian dads.
Uh-huh.
All the time,
Woke Asian dad
each time I
uses,
want
I
to,
love you.
you know,
Oh god.
Wendy begins
take
to
a piss
cry.
or something, I have to log out.
Very effective.
Yeah, it's very effective.
Oh god. Yeah. Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like I guess there's two types of people, right? Like there's the people who they tell themselves like, oh, they're not good enough, and then they don't do anything because it's like crippling. And then there's just, I guess there's people like me who, if I say like I'm not good enough, well, I should do more. Like I need to do instead of like just not do anything.
That's a really cool observation. What do you think separates those two people? Why do you think one is?
Alright, now this is the where
someone
I...
becomes one or the other. And
Wow.
I found like I talk
Basically, in
to
that
some of
world,
my
I don't
friends, you know, some
even
of them
see a
are very
single
much
tree.
like, I feel like crap.
It's like,
not
it's just a
enough.
really big meadows and there's
And
nothing,
then for
and
me, it's
I
like, I
only
really
see
wish
some
I could
Yeah.
oceans, I guess.
give
Yeah,
them some
Sidor,
of my energy
yung-
and
I'm
be like, I
from
think you'll
Manila.
feel better if you do something rather than
Don't
not
do
doing
it.
anything at all. And
That's thanks to you, my
I
guy.
don't know what makes us do one or the other. I don't know if you have any insight on that.
I've never thought about it like that, but I love where you're going with this. I wonder if it's the presence of someone that you want to do it for.
Like a motivation.
Yeah, like you want to make your
I got the
parents
swamp
proud,
key,
which no
so
matter
I
how hard
think
you
I'm going to
try,
farm a little
never
bit.
happens. Which I know sounds bleak.
Yeah.
And then because
I
I,
could
I,
do
I have
with
talked to
this
some
one as
people
well.
who don't feel good
Yeah,
enough,
let's
but
go.
I don't think they ever.
think this
I mean, their
kinda
parents were really more
Is this morning or nighttime? I can't tell.
It's modern.
tend to be more toxic. So it's
Cool.
like their parents would tell them you're not good enough, like to their face.
Ah, shit,
And
it's
it's
raining.
sort of like at least in your
Well,
case,
whatever.
it's almost like some people have a parent, like a parent that sort of like, holds up a standard that they push their kid to meet, and it's so impossible.
You put a
that
basement to
no
the
one did it,
basement.
but they still
Yeah, I want to
hold
get
you to that
some,
standard and push you
lactose
towards it.
of-
Whereas some parents just tell their kids that they're not good
no,
enough, and they don't
there's some meat here.
expect.
You can
Maybe
take
it's
some.
the expectation of a parent that's
I'm
different.
at 1. 6.
Like-
Yeah, I guess it is like expectations.
Yeah, like they
Batch
expect
is
you
6
to do
usually.
it, and you can be disappointing
what's the
to
drink?
them, absolutely. But at least they
And,
expect it of you.
Cook.
And some parents just, think their kid isn't
Don't.
good enough and don't expect anything out of them.
You know your
And
boxes
then
don't
that's
have
actually
names
why they
anymore.
don't do anything because once you don't believe you're
What the hell are the
capable of
names?
anything, then there's no point trying.
I kind of addicted.
Whereas, like, there's still this idea that you have that
Oh.
like, if you work hard enough,
That
you'll
makes
get there
sense.
one day. But some people believe
tasty.
that they're just not capable. So, when they talk about motivation, like, so I see this a lot where a lot of motivation or problems with motivation, they say I lack motivation,
reduce your,
is really hopelessness.
Wait, are you cooking or are you...
Because if you're
cooking.
never going to succeed, there's no point in trying. And so you have to tackle that, lack of expectation of capability of yourself.
Like you are
Maybe that's
leaving
it, I
that
don't know.
thing.
It's a great
It's
observation.
gonna turn to coal, my guy.
Sounds.
I did
Yeah,
that
sounds like
yesterday.
that might be it too.
I was like making some fried what's called
It's-
banana,
Yeah,
and it turned into coal.
very eye-opening.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Wait, you're
I don't
cooking
really
banana?
talk about this stuff
Fried
much.
banana, yeah.
No one does.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a thing?
It's a lot of
Fried
like,
bananas,
diving
really?
into why,
Did you know about
why,
fried banana?
why.
Banana
Yep.
fried?
Oh,
and not,
yeah.
and you don't always know why. Yeah.
Wait, are you talking about
So
the game
think
or
that's
IRL?
IRL.
a big part of like my journey was just
I make it in
asking
the
myself why, and why. And
Wow.
this is where I spent some time sort of training. to
As
become
much
a
as
monk.
burning, as much
Really,
burning I do in my
that's what you
cooking,
do.
I've never turned
Like
anything
when
to
you
coal.
train, like you meditate, and then
yes,
like
you-
But good job, I
ask
guess.
yourself,
That's like
why
something
do I have a
revolutionary.
desire for this thing?
You're revolutionary.
Why do I have a desire for this thing at this
Thank you.
moment?
I
Why am
try.
I feeling bad today? Like it's sort of like an internal exploration.
I'm gonna go fight some zombies.
You're mapping out the inner world instead of like mapping
Get
out
to the zombie
outer world.
farm.
Which it sounds like your dad is pretty good at.
he's, he,
Serious?
a few months ago, he told me, he's like, when you get older, you stop caring about a lot of stuff. And I was like, oh. And he's just like, you'll understand when you get here. And I mean, he's just, I don't, like, he's old, like, he's older. He's not like a grandpa yet, I guess. But I mean, he's like 65. So, like 66 retirement age. But he's like, you really stop caring about a lot of stuff when you get to my age. He's like, all those things that you're feeling right now, like, you probably won't feel a lot of it in 40 years.
Why is
or
there a
30
neck
years.
here?
Yeah, my woke Asian dad.
Wait, that's
Yeah.
a what?
Yeah.
There's a neck.
No idea.
Yeah, I'm really loving woke Asian dad.
Yeah.
It sounds like your dad is developing detachment or vairagya in Sanskrit, which is like distance between feelings and things in the world, and like how much it pisses you off. So one of the other qualities of the final form. of the Asian
Hello,
dad.
Blob.
Final
Why is there a blob here?
Yeah, I think I'm still very angry.
Two
at
blobs,
random
hello.
things. Definitely not detached at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as your dad said,
Can you get to the...
dad uses
real
skilled,
quick.
wise words,
You need help?
and he says he'll
The-
get there
the
one
farm.
day.
the farmland?
Yeah.
You want to bring
Oh,
my
that's
roll?
so funny.
Yeah, Wendy. Like I said, I usually this takes longer, but I think you really opened up and seemed simple today.
No,
Clear to me.
wait,
Yeah,
I think I got this
I
under
don't-
control.
I
I'm
just
not,
arrived. I don't know.
like, I'm
Okay.
super okay with talking about feelings. It's just I don't like always talk about them.
Wait,
but I mean, like,
I thought that was
I'm
you.
really open about talking about feelings. So it's
West
like
block.
if anybody asks me anything, it's like I'll
The blob's
The right.
just say it as it
On the
is.
left, actually.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's that's a lot of people tend
I didn't see
to
any blob.
be open
And
to answering.
the elite broke the door.
But we all feel uncomfortable about
Oh, sorry.
volunteering,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like it's kind of weird because like people are open books, but like you've got to crack the cover. They're willing to be open and transparent, but someone has to express
Like,
interest.
these guys keep trying
And
to
I
break
think part
the...
of the tricky thing
walls,
is that
which is
nowadays,
normal, I
it's,
guess, but
it's polite
still.
to not inquire.
It's kind of getting
And
unsustainable, guy.
when we don't ask,
Oh, it's not
like if we
nice.
see someone crying, we don't like go over to them and
I want to
ask like
try
what's
to do
wrong.
something. Give me.
Because
Try
we
doing
like
this.
want to respect their privacy, but then they feel isolated. It's kind of like
let me try
you
to
get
make-
stuck between like a rock and a hard place.
I guess I really want, or I'm actually usually the person that inquires. Like if I see any signs of someone being sad, I'll message them and be like, "Are you okay?" And
That's
ask
really
them,
wonderful.
if they need an ear or stuff like that.
Get away
I
from
think that makes the world a better place.
Seriously, look at this.
Yeah, I definitely,
Yeah,
wish
yeah, I
everybody
see it.
can be kind
So I
to
just
one
Open the
another.
door?
Can you come here and die?
Yeah.
There he is, there he is.
How's your brother doing?
Oh,
He's about to
this
do
is
it.
good. I mean, we don't
He's
really
about to
talk
do it.
much, and I wish we talked more, but he's good. He's in China,
He's about to do it.
and he does like teaching and stuff, English teaching.
Rinne?
But
What?
I haven't seen him in years, so.
What's that
Hold on, I'm
like?
gonna take care of the guy behind us.
I mean, it sucks. The thing is, like, my brother and I have a huge age gap, and it's only my brother and I. Like, my parents only have 2 kids. Like, he's 10 years older than me, exactly 10 years. So growing up, it was like a pretty crazy dynamic, because it was like I was 4, he was 14, you know. I was 10, he was 20. You know, he was already like practically
Why are you
gone by the
outside?
time I was in my teenage years, because he had to go to college and then go to like he did some like training, like student teacher
Oh, God
training
damn
in
it.
like China and stuff, and he always really liked teaching there. So he did a lot of traveling. I didn't see him for a long time. I remember like him coming back after a trip, and he was like, "Whoa, you grew a lot." You know, and I was like, "Yep,
Wow.
I did."
So does he have? You said your parents don't have grandparents, so I'm assuming he doesn't have children, and neither do you.
Yes, neither of us
Yeah.
have children. Yeah.
And so he's been in China for what sounds like years.
Dang,
he's,
man,
like,
this is
settled
a little bit unsustainable.
Yes. Yeah, he's definitely
Yeah, I
settled
guess.
there.
We need to
He
get
wanted to visit in recent years, but then COVID and whatnot.
stone
So
cutter
yeah, he
as soon as
didn't end
possible.
up coming.
Ah, yeah.
And then I never really go there.
Well, that
either,
requires some
so we
iron,
just
isn't it?
haven't seen each other in a while.
We need like 3.
Besides, like, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year's. You know, like through text
Yeah.
messages, we don't really talk too much. Yeah.
Maybe someone else to reach out to on your off days.
Yeah. Yeah. The time
Maybe-
zone difference
Oh,
is a
ow.
little weird, but
You can get hit by
Maybe you
the
can
thing,
trick yourself
apparently.
into thinking you're being productive by reaching
what
out to your brother.
yeah, that's somebody I could definitely reach out
Like,
to.
I can get hit by the stakes.
So Wendy, sometimes on stream we teach meditation. Are you interested in learning
Oh,
that?
fuck! One
Yeah.
bench is destroyed.
I'm down.
Let me think. Have you had any experience with meditation?
I've followed your stream a little bit here and there, but that's
Okay.
that's about it. Yeah. I think I've done a breathing one before a long time ago in like choir. I don't know, my choir instructor was like, breathe in for this many counts and breathe out for this many counts. Just
Okay.
close your eyes and stuff. Yeah.
I'm trying to think about whether we should do a meditation around sound or a meditation around breath. Or we can do both. Because you are musically oriented. Um, okay, I've got one for you. Okay. So I'm gonna give you
Keep preparing
give
the
you
doors.
kind of a task of sorts.
You know what?
Oh,
I'll bail.
let me think about
I already
this.
get 15 entrails.
How are we gonna do this?
Fucking hell, they poop something.
Give me just a second.
Okay.
Ugh. Oh, man.
Okay, this is going to sound kind of weird, okay? So what I want you to do is I'm going to put forth a hypothesis, and I want you to test it. Okay?
Okay.
So the hypothesis is that the letter U is at the end of any sound that you can make.
Okay.
Okay, so if we think about like what sound does the letter B make?
Oh, look at that. List with us Ikoma.
B. Or B, sorry.
Yeah, right. So ba, right? So there's an
B. Uh-huh. Yeah, I was like, what does B? B?
Okay, so
Yeah,
so
ba,
so then
uh-huh.
but then what I want you to also do is listen to the sound B. and see if you can find an at the end of that. So close your eyes. And you can try saying it.
Give me a second.
B.
And just really pay attention to the end of it.
E.
Okay.
I'm trying to pay attention to the E sound.
So after the E, there's another sound.
I'm going to store the entrails in here first, and then I'm just going to carry them home later.
I don't get it.
Okay.
Is it like
That's okay.
it's just
It's a poorly explained.
So when do you want to start going to crypts?
okay.
Let me
I think
let's
now
try
it's
something
okay.
else.
I'm finishing up.
Oh, cool. Have you made more sausages?
No, I don't have this one.
You don't have crystal.
I've got another.
Oh yeah, you
technique
do.
for us to try,
You,
okay?
you really don't.
So
Well, I can make one more
this is
batch.
be
I'm
sort
gonna
of
do
like
that.
A rotating.
Potion
Uh,
resist.
It's gonna
Oh,
be like
shit,
a
yeah.
rotating awareness
You're right.
technique.
Holy shit.
So what I want you to do
Oh,
is
that
we're
was
going to take
close.
deep breaths, and what I want you to do is kind of imagine that the breath is going in through your nose
And
up to the top
you might
of your
need to
head,
quickly
and
get some
as you
movement.
inhale,
This
goes all the
floors
way
are
down
just
the back of your spine.
being
And as
destroyed.
you exhale, so as you hit the the tailbone, as you
do you want to
exhale,
see my
the
roof?
breath kind
Look
of
at this.
comes via the pubis.
This is-
and
Give me a
then
second.
over the
I'm
navel,
repairing.
through
This
the
is the roof-
chest,
the
and
roof
then
for
out the
my-
nose.
for
Okay,
my-
so as we inhale, we're going to rotate our attention. I'm giving you hard techniques. I don't know why. I should probably be giving you introductory stuff, but you know,
The roof for
you're
your.
such a hard worker, and
That's the
talented
roof.
and all that good stuff. So breathe in, and then
No, I'm
you're gonna
talking
follow
about
it up,
this, man.
and
Right
then
here.
around the
Look at
back
this.
Of your spine.
I'm
And
not planning
as
to
you
roof
finish
it.
your breath, you should be
I
at
want
your
it to be open.
tailbone, and as you
So you're just
exhale,
going to
over the
leave it.
pubis,
Yeah.
through the navel, through
As
the
long as you
heart,
do
through
some
the
regular
base of the
maintenance, I
throat,
guess.
It's like life.
and then actually I guess this is a little bit complicated. Also back up here, and then out
They
the
get to like
nose.
half durability very fast.
Okay, and so along the back, what you want to do is start here, go to the top of your head, sort of
Do you have enough
the base of your throat, so like the part of your
I
spine
think we
that is
can-
opposite your throat.
We can make the
Part
poison
of your
mead.
spine that is behind your
Yeah,
heart.
I
Well,
don't have
The
oh,
part
it's
of
from your
your
systems.
spine that is opposite your
You don't have
navel,
what?
Nectil?
your tailbone, and then up the front.
Let-
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
necktails.
so
We
sit
need
up
to-
Well, I can go look for some.
close your
Alright,
eyes,
you should.
and I'll run you through
I'm
the
gonna go look for
breaths
some then.
at the beginning. So I'm gonna do 3 rounds where I'll walk you through them, and then you're gonna do 5 more on your own. Okay? So go ahead and exhale to begin with,
Here water, so it should be
and then
pretty
through
easy.
your nose, breathe in.
Well, conceptually.
Slowly, it goes up to the top of your head, along the back of your throat, down past your heart, down past your navel, and into your tailbone. And as you exhale, across the pubis, over the navel, through the heart, base of your throat, up to your eyebrows, and then out your nose. And now we're gonna go again. Okay, eyes closed. Breathe in, up to the crown of your head, back of your throat, behind your heart, behind your navel, bottom of the tailbone, and then exhale. Pubis, navel, front of your heart, base of your throat, up to your eyebrows, and out. And now continue at your own pace, and just as you breathe in, let your attention rotate in that circuit.
Ooh, there
And
is
as you-
some
We're going to practice for
herd
about
of-
60 seconds, okay?
necks. Hello. Neck will be ill. Oh no, the necks are leaving. God damn it.
I only need one. Anyway.
Well, might as well stockpile a little bit, you know?
Sure.
We got 5 now. No, it's 3 actually. My eyes are bad now.
Yeah, that's why you use glasses.
Yeah. It's the height of otaku fashion. Okay, now it's 5. Hmm.
But
No. No, I don't have a good time of 60 seconds. I was like, did I breathe too long or did I breathe too short?
you did fine. I should have been a little bit more clear. I think something about maybe my teaching style is off today.
Some necktail. Go ahead and go cook them.
What was that?
Or do you want me to
practice
cook them?
like?
Go cook yourself.
Relaxing. It was like, yeah, it was very
The cool is
relaxing.
on the cool chest.
It was funny because I was trying to follow.
Well, you
the
have it, so
air
you go
through
cook it.
my body, and then when it went back up to like here and then down through my nose, it like kind of tickled a little bit because I was
Doesn't resist 5 days.
Good. So
kind of feeling the air
that's
inside.
fantastic, right? So the goal of
Okay,
meditation
I need
is
to log out a
bring your
little bit. I
attention to the
got
present.
a reply.
Alright.
And then sort of just is you're sitting with an experience that's perfect.
See you in a bit.
Let me ask you, I know this could be hard to understand having done it so little, but did you feel like sometimes your breath or attention would stall at a particular place in your body?
Yes, because I don't know, for some reason I was like having a mental, or I was like trying to follow and I was like, wait, did I go to that part? Go back. So I was like trying to like, yeah.
Yep.
But there, when you were telling me where to like, where my air travels, it was like really smooth. But when I did it on my own, it was not as smooth. Yeah.
And do you know if there was a particular place that you would stumble around?
Yeah, I guess just like the end of my breathing, so around like the spine area, like the back.
The bottom of your spine?
Yeah, the bottom.
Okay. And then was there was the exhalation pretty smooth, or would that also kind of like, were you like, you know, imagine you're driving a manual and it kind of like doesn't start quite right. So did you like stall at the bottom on your way out, or was it pretty smooth on the way out?
I think it stalled because I was like, again, I was thinking about which part it was traveling through. But generally, it's like pretty smooth. Yeah.
Okay, generally, but it seems like you get kind of stuck around the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, keep doing it.
Oh.
Not now, but just in general.
Oh, okay.
So I think, you know, you can try this technique out. I would say do it for 3 to 5 minutes a day, ideally every day, but I think you can start with like 3 days a week. You know, I think eventually what you want to do, so the science on meditation suggests that if you can practice 20 minutes a day for 3 days a week, that's the minimum required to really like literally rewire your brain. So like stress indicators and things like that will improve. But if you can do 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, that's totally fine. You don't have to do this practice for 20 minutes. So you can do this for 3 to 5. You know, check out our other YouTube videos, or reach out to me at some point if you have more questions about meditation or things like that. Yeah, and then.
Oh, sorry. Do you
Yeah,
have
go
like
ahead.
a recommendation on when you should do them, or like is it like when you wake up, like before you sleep? Or,
So
like, when
meditation
throughout the
is the most fruitful at dawn and dusk.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you're up at dawn, but if you're in Canada,
Definitely up. I'm definitely up. Yeah.
because you're up late or up early.
Yeah, up late.
Okay. So
Haven't slept yet.
So I would say, when dawn rolls around, then, that's when it's the most fruitful. The other thing that's a little bit tricky, I don't know if you noticed, but one of your nostrils is going to be more closed than the other. Can you tell which one?
This one's more open. This one's more, or my right nostril's
So,
more closed than my left.
At the moment of dawn or dusk, both of them will open up, and it's fucking weird.
What?
I know. So if you can do that practice during the period of time where they're both open, then it'll be the most fruitful.
Sorcery.
Yeah. Seriously.
Whoa, okay. I'll try it. I'll try it.
Yeah, just try it.
Yeah.
You'll be. It's one of the weirdest fucking things in the universe. Okay. I still
Okay.
don't quite understand it. But there's something about being in rhythm with the universe. You know, I don't know how any of that shit works. It's just weird. It used to be my alarm clock. Is like.
Oh.
But anyway. Any other questions?
Cool. No, I think I'm good. Yeah.
So one last thing, Wendy, you know, it may be worthwhile for you to see a therapist. I don't know if you ever have, but if you want to, like, if you find that this is really a problem, like, not a bad idea to work with someone, you can also work with, I'm not really seeing a huge need for, you know, therapy. I'm not hearing anything that I think is clinically concerning. You know, I don't diagnose people over the internet. So, you know, that being said, but, you know, you can certainly work on this stuff if you feel like you do want someone to talk to. You can also sign up for our creator coaching program, which thankfully Twitch is sponsoring. So Twitch has decided, are you a partner on?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're partnered, it's available to you, and coaches can kind of help you work through some of this stuff a little bit more.
Cool,
Two other
yeah.
things to kind of think about. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on and, you know, being so authentic and open. It was like, and also insightful, because something about, I don't know, it was just easy today. It felt like something.
Oh, I'm glad. I didn't want to be a difficult guest.
I mean, I don't know that anyone, well, actually, that's not true. Some people actually. So I was like, oh, no one is difficult. That's bullshit. Some people are a fucking pain in the ass. But you know, that's not their problem. That's my problem. And but you certainly weren't. You were pleasant and delightful, and good luck to you. You know, I hope you do well. And seriously, like, tell your dad how you feel, and let him. September 4th, we're going to be releasing code. And all you have to do is avoid going into YouTube by tolerating boredom. And if you can avoid opening up something on your computer, loading up a game, like loading up whatever, Reddit, like whatever, right? I use those because that's what I get distracted with. If you can just learn to sit with that boredom, your mind will naturally coalesce back into studying. So there's a particular skill which if you can learn, then you will be far, far more productive. And that skill is the ability to tolerate boredom. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I want you guys to think a little bit about the process of how you get distracted and where your days go, okay? So this is where, so I want you guys to think about what's going on when you try to work, okay? So like, here's you. And then like, here's the book. Oh God, I can't write a book. I can't draw a book. This is a book, okay? So you're trying to read a book. So you're looking at the book. All right? And so generally speaking, what happens is your mind tends to be like one-pointed, right? So this is gonna be like a one-pointed mind. And you're looking at the book for a few seconds, like let's say a minute or two, you're like reading the book. And then something interesting happens. Your mind goes from this to like a scatter. Okay, so this is one-pointed mind. And this is a scattered mind. All right, so like, you guys know what I mean? Like, because you're like, I'm reading the book, and then your mind is like, oh, like, let's think about random crap. And so then when your mind becomes scattered, then what it starts to do is it starts to go in like all these different directions, right? So it's going over here, it's going over here, it's going over here. And then what used to happen is that over time, you'd like, your mind would wander, like 5 minutes would pass, you'd be sitting in a library, and then the mind eventually like coalesces back into a one-pointed mind, and then you're focused on the book again. And if we think about the process of studying, what it is like, it's like focused mind, and then it scatters again. And then it goes back to focused. And then it scatters again. And on good days, your focused mind is longer, and then the scattering is shorter. Right? So like generally speaking, as you study, this is the pattern of mind. Does that make sense? So your mind kind of coalesces, and then it's like one pointed again. And then, there are some things that can help this, like, caffeine helps this process, usually, unless you have too much. So like stimulant medication from ADHD helps this process. And so there are all kinds of things that can kind of cause you to coalesce your mind. So we also taught, so another important part of this process is something called dharana and pratyahara. So we've talked a little bit about these, but that's not going to be our focus today. These we can sort of explore a little bit later, okay? So dharana is focus. So these are like meditation techniques that train your mind to become one-pointed. Pratyahara is sensory withdrawal. So these are practices that essentially cause you to restrain the senses. So let's like think about this for a second. What are the things that shatter a one-pointed mind? So like let's say I'm studying the library and then someone brings in like a plate of barbecue, right? So then like I smell the barbecue and then my mind shatters. Okay? Let's say that I'm studying and like I hear a ping on my phone. Someone just texted me. So BBQ, sound from phone, notification, right? So, and then what this does is shatters my focus. So the reason is because my focus gets shattered by the indriyas, or the sense organs. So pratyahara is the practice of restraining your sense organs. So like keeping your eyes focused on what they should be focused on, getting your nose under control, getting your ears under control, like basically restraining your attention where you want it, okay? That's not the focus today. So all of these are about moving from here to here, okay? But what we're gonna focus on today is not moving from here to here. We're gonna focus on this phase right here, because this is where a lot of people kind of mess up. So let's think about what happens when your mind is scattered. Okay, so the mind enjoys being focused and the mind enjoys being entertained. So mind enjoys focus, right? And if we think about mind enjoying entertainment, what is entertainment? Entertainment is simply a sensory experience that sort of makes it very easy for your mind to be focused. So if I play a video game, like the whole point of like playing Dota is that Dota causes my mind to coalesce into this, right? Video games do this. So if we really think about it, what we see is that our mind actually really enjoys being focused. Like the common element is that the mind appreciates focus. And then even when we think about studying, like I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but like sometimes studying can be fun. Like you're kind of in a groove and you're like learning stuff, and your mind is kind of focused. It really enjoys that. So where does the problem arise? Like why is studying so hard? Studying is so hard because our mind gets distracted, right? And so it shatters into this again. And in this moment, we're bored, right? Because you like, I don't want to study. Like your mind is like, oh, let's look at the book. And then you're like, there's another part of your mind that's like, no, I don't want to do that. And this is where I think that studying has gotten so much harder for people. Like we hear this so much more now that, video games are addictive. I'm addicted to YouTube. Like I spend hours watching YouTube. I have no motivation, etc. Because now actually something existed that didn't exist 30 years ago, which is algorithmic entertainment. So what used to be, so like let's think about like, like in the 1950s, if I'm at the library and I get distracted, what would my mind do? I pull out my comic book and I read my comic book for like 10 minutes, okay? And then eventually my mind kind of scatters again, and then I focus back on study. But now we have something that's like way more devastating, which is that when we enter these bored states, we log on to YouTube, we get on Reddit, like we get on these things, we get on like, let's say, Instagram, whatever, Twitter. And the problem is that these things are not gonna like occupy your attention. So the comic book occupies your attention, let's say for 20 minutes. The problem is that the second you open these up, you're gone for 3 hours. Right? Because with algorithmic entertainment, what happens is like YouTube is going to suggest things to you that will keep your mind like focused in that direction. Reddit is like, and this is the crazy thing, I know this sounds weird, but I want you guys to really think about this for a second. You are tailoring these websites to pull your attention towards them, right? You're giving them like a cheat code to keep your attention occupied. So when you log on to Reddit and like I have all of my favorite subreddits that I'm subscribed to, over time I'm making the website more addictive to me. YouTube, this isn't just YouTube's fault. It is like also like your fault, because as you subscribe to more content, it's going to be like more entertaining, right? As you watch YouTube videos, like YouTube's job is to make you like enjoy, like have a good experience on YouTube. Like you're not going to, like if you open up YouTube and like it's a bunch of nanny vlogs and you're not interested in that, it's like that's a failure of a website, right? So that's, they're doing what they're supposed to do, and it just has this really bizarre consequence, which is that you're training YouTube to be more predatory towards your attention. You're making it more addictive by subscribing to shit. And if you subscribe to a bunch of subreddits that you don't like, or watch a bunch of YouTube videos and then get all this crap that you don't care about posted on your YouTube, then you're not going to use the website, right? So this is like the really tricky thing, is that when we become bored for a second, this is the real loss, and we get distracted and there's algorithmic entertainment. Boredom plus algorithmic entertainment means 3 hours of your life gone and no productivity. GG. Go next. Right? Get wrecked. So the question then becomes, without, oh, wrong one. The question then becomes like, what do we do about this, right? So like once we slip down this road, we're gone. The 3 hours is the price that you pay. Because Reddit is designed, YouTube is designed to restrain your attention. So what they're going to do is they're going to take your attention away from studying. Okay? Because that's what they're going to do. So then the question becomes, like, and then people ask, like, you know, oh, how do I stop watching YouTube? Like, you can't, it's going to be really hard. Like, once your attention is over here, to like pull your attention back towards studying, this is going to require a lot of effort. And so then what happens is we look at people and we say, oh my God, this person is so disciplined, because some people can watch YouTube for like 10 minutes and then they go back to studying. Okay, so this is studying. And so then we say this person is disciplined. And then we say, I'm not disciplined. I'm lazy. So this is where the lazy person goes. So the question is, okay, what do you do? So last week we talked about building conscientiousness. Okay, so how to move from lazy to being disciplined. But there's a real important secret here, which is right here. Because if you can avoid this step right here, then you don't need to be disciplined. You guys get this? And so then the question, if you can avoid opening up YouTube, because once YouTube is open, it's designed, they pay like people millions of dollars, like Reddit, whatever, all of these companies, right? They pay millions of dollars to different engineers to like make the website more usable by the users, like creating a good user experience. I don't think that they're like being, you know, evil about it. That's just like, they're like, hey, we want to make a website better. And so the key thing is that once you go over here, you're screwed, finished. So how do you avoid this step? And then the answer is to learn to tolerate boredom. Okay? So what you guys need is patience. If you're lazy, if you're good at sitting around and not doing anything, that's totally fine. We're just going to double down on that. And let's see what happens when you do that, okay? So, I'm studying. Then my mind fractures. Okay? So, what happens if I just sit with it? Right? You're going to have all these thoughts and impulses. You're going to be thinking about barbecue. Then you're going to be thinking about gaming. You're going to be thinking about laundry. You're going to be thinking about how this guy is such a noob. And your mind is kind of wandering. And then eventually, your mind will sort of start to coalesce. Okay, it's going to go into this, and then eventually it's going to go into this, and then eventually it'll go right back here to studying. So this is what you guys need to do. You have to understand that your mind is like a bird in flight, right? So it like jumps up, starts flying all over the place. And all you have to do is avoid going into YouTube by tolerating boredom. And if you can avoid opening up something on your computer, loading up a game, like loading up whatever, Reddit, like whatever, right? I use those because that's what I get distracted with. If you can just learn to sit with that boredom, your mind will naturally coalesce back into studying. It'll happen like sort of effortlessly. All you have to do is learn how to tolerate that boredom in the middle. And if you think about what's happened in our society, okay, so this is kind of interesting. If you think about what's happened to our brains, how has technology affected our brains? What technology has done is make us like weak at tolerating boredom. Okay, so it's almost like we're running around with like electric wheelchairs for our mind, and then like if you stop walking and you start using an electric wheelchair, you're going to decondition your body for physical activity and walking, right? So what have we done? Our technology has deconditioned our mind to tolerate boredom. And just think about this for a second, right? Like, so when you're in the car, it's like podcast time, baby. When I'm cooking, it's podcast time. I'm gonna be productive. This is the danger, right? So you'll see these websites where people will talk about, yeah, I read a bunch of books and I like listen to a bunch of audiobooks and podcasts and stuff like that. I have entertainment time. And then like, you know, we're always doing something. Our attention is always on something. And we get bored very, very easily. And so like, you know, having everything at your fingertips on your phone is like terrible for your ability to tolerate boredom. And so what's happened is we've become unable to handle boredom. And as our mind gets weak at handling boredom, we like lose productivity because then we get lost in these like apps and stuff. And so everyone who's talking about productivity, you guys have got to understand that productivity starts with the ability to tolerate boredom. Just that. Just learn how to be bored. If you can learn how to be bored, then your productivity will go through the roof. Because then in those key moments where you are bored and you reach for that thing that it used to be a 5-minute distraction, it used to be a 15-minute distraction, it used to be a 20-minute distraction. Now it's a 3-hour time commitment. And once you like step into the ring with like, you know, this algorithm that's designed to restrain your attention for 3 or 4 hours, you are like way outmatched. It's just your little brain against hundreds of millions of dollars worth of like engineering that is designed to prey on your neuroscience. You guys are outmatched. You can't win that. So the key is to not step into the ring. The way that you don't step into the ring is to tolerate boredom. Right? So like, what does that mean? How do I learn to tolerate boredom? So we had a great exercise that one of our coaching clients came up with, fantastic and very difficult, is to sit and stare at a wall for an hour with no distractions. And it is devastatingly difficult. But really cool stuff will happen. Very, very cool stuff will happen if you guys just sit at a wall for an hour. I know everyone's like, oh my God, 1 hour of not doing anything. Oh my God, an entire hour of doing nothing. How am I going to tolerate that? Right? So don't even meditate. Meditation is doing something. Not allowed to meditate. Just sit in an hour and sit with yourself. And then your mind is going to do all kinds of stuff. It's going to be like absolutely crazy for about 20 or 25 minutes. And then it's going to be like really awesome. Like the second half, if you guys can make it, like is going to be amazing because your mind is going to like come up with stuff and it's going to be like weird and entertaining. Sometimes what'll happen is like a lot of negativity will come up. You'll start to like realize how bad of a person you are and like how much of a failure you are and stuff like that. And everyone's like, how do I learn acceptance? Like, how do I learn to sit with it? That's the way that you learn how to sit with it. Right? Just sit and look at a wall for an hour. Just do nothing. And then if you guys want to, you guys can do easy mode. In easy mode of sitting at the wall is going for a walk for also 1 hour. right? So get up and go outside. It'll like feel great. Like you'll still be bored. You're gonna want to put your headphones in. I want to listen to an audiobook. I want to listen to a podcast. I want to listen to this. I want to do this. And like just think about how much, you know, there was a time where like, okay, so I would wake up in the morning, I'd do yoga, I'd study, I'd turn on the audiobook while I was showering, I'd be listening while I was eating. I would, you know, as soon as I turned it off, like on the computer, I pop in my headphones, walking to the subway, on the subway, pull out the Kindle, put away the Kindle, back to the audiobook, to the lecture hall, listening to the lecture, trying to listen to the lecture because it's boring, which is really hard because I've really not trained my attention well. And then it's like back to the audiobook, a little bit of stuff on the computer, screen, phone, you know. It's like our minds are constantly externalized towards something. We rely on external technological crutches to keep our minds focused on one thing. And in doing so, we have lost the capacity to focus our mind where we want it to. We've become victims to the screen, right? Because like if